let's talk about things that I can remember that I have done to it since the last time you would have seen this. So I've got these big fairings up here, these winglets. It's got those enhanced winglets, and I heard about those from Long Haul Paul, who I think has like 200,000 miles on his T7 now at this point. Fairly recently, though, I swapped out the windscreen and went back to the stock one with risers. And I'm going to do some more videos on specific mods that I did. The last video that I made, and for the first, I don't know, 9,000 miles of this bike's life, it had a big Madstad adjustable windscreen on it, which worked great, functionally worked great. I just think it looked really ugly. I didn't like how massive that thing looked on this bike. It really took away from what I feel is just a beautiful looking bike. So I put the stock one back on, and it's got risers for when I want to do a lot of highway. It's down in the stock position right now, but it can raise up quite a bit and give me a little bit more protection. I still feel it on my shoulders, like the fronts of my shoulders, but that's the trade-off. And most of the time I'm going to go for function, but some of the time I'm also going to go for beauty, because this bike just looks so badass, and I want to make sure that it looks as badass as it possibly can. So that is one thing that I've done in the last year that I've made this. Ooh, I also went through the process of lowering the bike. So I talked about this in the last year's video, but I had kept this bike in its stock form, and I'm pretty short. I'm 5'6" or 5'7", depending on the doctor that you ask. And this bike is very, very tall. So to have a bike that is that tall, I'm going to get on the freeway actually. I wasn't planning on it, but let's get on the freeway. To have a bike that is this tall, I could really only tiptoe one side, which really kind of sucks for riding, especially riding off-road, because you're kind of always at the mercy of the spots that you're on. And I had been resistant to lowering a bike as long as I've owned bikes. I've never lowered one before, but went to Alt-Rider and lowered this 30 millimeters. I don't even know how much that is. I think it's like 1.5 inches, so it's not that much. And then I had to buy a new kickstand also to accommodate the lowering, and that job was so much more involved and so much more of a hassle than I expected it to be. But I really love the results. So I lost 1.5 inches or 2 inches of ground clearance, but the bike had, I think, like 8 inches or 8.5 inches or something like that to begin with, so it had a lot. And I adjusted the front forks. I think I dropped them 22 millimeters in the front, 30 millimeters in the back, so it has slightly more rake than it had before. Man, if there's one thing that and maybe this probably happens in every state, but I always say Washington drivers just can't drive for shit. And it's stuff like this, where we get on the freeway, it's metered, and this is supposed to be like a zipper, where everybody should be going fast. It's like a launch pad for riding or for driving also. But it should be, and yet, so many people, they get up at the end of this, and then they just slam on their brakes, and I don't understand. I don't get it. Yes, so I put it back to stock height, and I think it just looks so much better. I'll get a view of it here in a couple of minutes. I'm not gonna spend too much time on the freeway. Not even sure where I'm gonna go. Probably just loop around and start heading back to get back to work. But this bike has been amazing. It's taken me everywhere that I want to go, and it's been 2 years now, almost. It'll be 2 years in April, and there's been lots of bikes that have come out since then. There's been the KTM 890, there's been the Honda Transalp, there has been different iterations of the Africa Twin, there's been the Triumph 900. There's been a lot of bikes in this category, but I said it from the beginning, and I will say it again, and I will die on my grave, that I think that one of the really cool things about this hobby in general, motorcycle riding, and especially adventure motorcycle riding, is really being able to make the bike yours. So buying a relatively inexpensive platform, and that's what this bike is. It's 10,000. It's 10,000 and change to buy. And the bikes it competes against most often are dramatically more than that. They're 12,000, or they're 13,000, or they're 14,000. Some of the BMW 850 GS and the Triumph 900, and yeah, a lot of the bikes that are in the category just cost a lot more And they might come with some of the amenities that you may want to add later on, but what I really like about this platform is that it's inexpensive. You get the best motor that you can really buy, the CP2 engine, fewest issues, and that's scientifically proven at this point. But you can add and really make it your own. So, hey, you want a certain type of heated grips? Boom, you got that. I had, a lot of these bikes have heated, like I see people that talk about the Triumph, and they get heated grips, or the heated grips that come with the bike, and they are unimpressed. They're too cold, or they're not hot enough, or maybe they're too hot, or you know, something like that, and you're just stuck. Like that's the only option that you have. I gotta turn up some of my venting in here. I'm dying. There we go. But yeah, so you're just stuck with whatever it is the manufacturer gives you. And sometimes, like with the Super Tenere 1200, I had wanted to make a change to the handlebars, and I couldn't figure out a way to do it and retain the heated grips. So you just sort of lose the opportunity to customize and make it the way that you want. So I got to put on the heated grips. I got to do a lot of the things that I want to do with the bike. It doesn't have tubeless rims. That was my biggest gripe in the beginning. But my wife, for Christmas 2022, got me these beautiful Alpina tubeless rims. God, the weather sucks. I keep wiping off my shield. That's why you keep seeing my hand in here. These beautiful Alpina tubeless rims that have been awesome. They've been one of the best things I've ever gotten for a bike. For sure, hands down. So just having to think about it less, and I know like a lot of people will say, hey, like true dirt riding is having a tube tire. But the reality of it is that a lot of the people, myself included, a lot of the people, you included if you're watching this probably, that ride these adventure bikes are going to ride them mostly on the street. Because if you were just going to do mostly on the dirt, you would have a much smaller bike to be able to do that all the time. You'd have a 250 or a 300 or a 400 or maybe an EXC 500 or something like that. But most people that have this bike, it's going to spend the bulk of its mileage on the dirt, or sorry, on the street. Ooh, that was like Operation Do Not Die. Riding on the freeway. It's raining so hard, I'm not even sure how well you can even see right now. Let's clean off the lens. Let's see if... Alright, so hopefully I didn't smudge the shit out of that, and hopefully you can see okay. But it is raining so hard, and I don't know if it's because I changed the windscreen back to the stock, and I haven't ridden in really like bad rain since I did that. But I'm having to clean up my screen, sorry, my shield a lot. And hopefully your view isn't being blocked right now by this windscreen being up, but my shield just kept getting annihilated by the cars in front of me. It's okay, that's one thing that we've learned with 11,000 miles on the bike, is that the stock windscreen in its stock form does not do great going on the freeway at 70 miles an hour. So duly noted is what we have. But anyway, I love this bike so much for a variety of reasons. The plan for 2024, I want to do a lot more dirt riding, a lot more off-road riding. Because I just think that this bike is a hell of a lot of fun, and it makes mediocre-ass riders like me look much better than we actually are. It's well-balanced. It's not super heavy. I mean, it's still 450 pounds. But there's just so much versatility built into this bike, again, to really make it your own and make it the bike that you've always wanted. And that's, you know, this is perfect. There's 11,000 miles now. The other thing that I'll say that is just crazy is that people in the motorcycle world tend to go through tires very, very quickly. And the stock tires on this get a lot of heat, meaning, sorry, wrestling term, get a lot of heat in the sense that, like, people complain about the stock tires, just saying that they suck. Here's the thing. You can get better tires that will be better in the mud and the sand and the silt and all that, but then you really sacrifice the gravel and the pavement. This is the stock tires in this Pirelli STR Scorpion Rallies are, I think they're great. And I'm at 11,000 miles now, and I still have the stock tires on. Have not changed them. So change will probably be coming in the spring, and I keep looking elsewhere, like Dunlop Trail Max Raids is one I've looked at. But there's a good chance I just go back to the stock ones, buy the exact same set again, because they've been great balance. I mean, I really struggled on the BDR a couple of years ago, but I think that was just more to do with it being a difficult section, a lot of washouts. I'm not great off-roading. I'm short, the bike is tall, you know, there's a lot of things that go into that. But overall, just not that much experience as a rider, but I'm fine. Meaning health-wise, I was fine coming out of that. And I'm going to be fine to do it again. So I would love to do the whole course at some point. Hopefully my buddies will be up for that. And if they're not, maybe we just make it a solo adventure on the BDR. We'll see. Alright, so the Cliff Notes version on this bike, the 11,000 mile review, like I mentioned, it's great. It's a great platform. Make the bike whatever it is really that you want. Lots of upgrades that I've done to it. I'm still on the stock wheels, but outside of that, there are the stock tires. But there's a bunch of upgrades that I've done to it. I've got the mirrors, I've got the grips, I've got new handlebars, I've got the handguards. Yeah, I think I said that. I've got the winglets. I've got a new gas tank. Ooh, I don't think I talked about the gas tank. Yeah, the gas tank. I'm gonna do a whole video on the gas tank. It's got a new gas tank. It's got a new seat. It's got new exhaust. It's got new LED flashers on it. But it's great. It's phenomenal. There's not another bike that I think I would like as much as this, for the purpose that I have it, the Swiss Army knife of bikes. I can go off-road, I can have a thrilling on-road experience. I can do a 2,000 mile road trip, which I just did. Might have even been more than that, maybe a 3,000 mile road trip, which I did last summer without even a sneeze. 600 mile days, 700 mile days. I could probably do a 1,000 mile day and just be really sore at the end. But overall, man, this is a value of a bike, and awesome in so many ways.